You hear a record I produced or a bad boy record. You get in the shower, get out the shower, spray on some unforgivable cologne. Then you put on your Sean John suit. Then you go to work at Combs Enterprises in one of the various entities.
Bad boy, baby.
I'm just beginning. Then you go home and you would watch The Four, or you would go to Revolt for your daily dose of black excellence in unapologetic hip hop. Then it would be a party that night, and you need to enjoy yourself. So you get dressed, you throw on some more Sean John. You go to the club, you dance to some more bad boy records, Biggie, especially. After you got thirsty and worked up, a little thirst, and if you were old enough to partake in some ultra premium spirits, you may order some Ciroc, or you may order, if you like tequila, any tequila drinkers? You may order some De Leon.
Oh, God.
Then this is the most important thing. Then you go home, and when you go home, you have to drink a full bottle of this. So you can get up in the morning and do it all over again. It's a beautiful dream.
It's a beautiful dream, yeah.
It's a beautiful dream it's a beautiful dream that I made a reality. And can I just talk a little bit?
Yeah, riff, go.
Okay, let me just riff. It's a beautiful dream that I made a reality. But I had to use my own money to do it. I had to use my own resources to do it. And I was able to have a certain amount of success.
Put some respect on my name.
But in order to really be able to, everybody's not in my position that has a dream. And we need the proper, when we say resources, we actually need for our community, we need belief, we need distribution, and we need the finances for us to be great.
Hell yeah.
I mentioned backstage, I wanted to share with these folks a little bit. People talk about you having vision and seeing things, and then capitalizing, but you have a rare blessing of being able to manifest. So you don't sit there and read and watch and think, what's the next logical thing? You're on your own world sometimes, building this dream you have. And then what separates you is you have the will to execute. Like most people don't get an appreciation for that. That's not an artist thing. That's a beast. Someone wakes up in the morning and says, I got to get stuff done. I got to make this stuff happen. It's not going to happen just by sitting here dreaming it up. And I've been very, very impressed in our business dealings with watching how concerned that you are about making sure you're executing. And I think of that as manifesting a dream, not sitting around and just dreaming it up.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
That comes from my mother.
I love you.
My mother, she actually worked 4 jobs. I'm not exaggerating. She worked 4 jobs to take care of us. And, one day I asked her for a pair of sneakers, and she couldn't afford it. And the look that I saw on her face, I said, I will never see that look on my mother's face again. And I was 12 at the time, so I was kind of young to get hired with all the labor laws and everything, but I wanted to work. So I came up with this idea that all of the paper boys that were going to college, I could deliver their papers while they're in college and then send them 50% of the money. So I was able to get a route, and then it turned into 6 routes.
Secure your bag.
And the thing that I learned most importantly, besides I was making $600 a week and I really liked how it felt, was that next step that I would take. All the other paper boys would just throw the papers on the lawn You know, you have older people that, you know, have to come outside and go and bend down. And I made it my business to make sure that I followed through. And I learned that from my mother, following through on my dreams, following through on what I believed. So I made sure I put the paper in between the screen door and the door so they didn't have to go outside. Bruh. And I've taken that work ethic throughout my whole life.
I'm going to tell you something funny. And I've never told you this, but I also did a paper route. And the way that I inherited my paper route is I went and did that young boy's work for about a year, getting only 10 or 20 cents on his dollar, knowing that when it was time for him to move on, it would be my shot. And that's actually, not kidding you, I made the exact same decision. I'm going to put that paper between the door so that when they open it, it's between the screen door and the door. So I guess the commonality is you get a good mother and a paper route, you're on a good track.
And the commonality is also that we're all human beings with the same desires, the same needs, want the same opportunities. I just want us to all get a fair chance to compete. And it's clear. It's been proven that if we get a fair playing field and the right resources, financial resources, infrastructure, marketing, support, that we always shine.
Well, talk a little bit about when you think about some these platforms you have and your next dream. You know, you talked about the beginning of something new. You gave a really good description of, you know, the match that's going to light this next forest fire. Just talk a little bit about how you see this next couple of years and the similarities between it and what you saw when hip-hop was taking off.
Well, right now is a time, it's something I've never seen before, and I don't think the world has ever seen before. We're in a watershed moment. We're about to go to a whole nother place and a whole nother level. All of the chaos is designed by God. We have an opportunity right now to actually make a change and make it quicker than ever. The technology that I most love, even though, you know, I know everybody's into AI and going on to virtual reality, but for me, it's social media. It's the boundaries that it actually breaks down for us to be able to communicate, for us to get our information out there. There's going to be all different types of technology that comes out, but right now in this time of so much political chaos and what's going on racially, it's igniting a fire in the creators. The creators are speaking through the things that they create to be seen and be heard and make a difference. And I think technology all around is going to embrace that. Mm-hmm. And so when you hear about Amazon and Hulu and Netflix and Apple going to spend $20 billion in content, we have to have representation in that content. That content has to be diverse. And I think because of the appetite for diverse content, I think we're in a watershed moment where things are going to change and people are going to take power and people are going to understand. If anything I could tell you guys, ownership. Own something. And I just want to make sure my people own something, because as of right now, like in the next 20 years, it's predicted that we'll have people of color will have 0%, less than 0% of the wealth here in America. And we can't let that happen. We can't let that happen.
Oh, hell no!
So you mentioned about social media, and you know, I asked my team to go back and look at the stats on that. It turns out African-American community is 12% of the population and 25% of the social media activity. Mm-hmm. So facts are bearing out the fact that thing has become a really important platform. And I think you're thinking about it in the media is really advanced about how that moves from social to traditional media. Talk a little bit of just, how do you think about, how does that affect news? How does that affect the things that you're thinking about for the future?
I think it affects it for the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers can no longer hold to the conversation because the people, we don't believe them. So people want new outlets that are going to tell the truth and be for the people and be honest. And I think that if a lot of the bigger brands and outlets don't change, that there's a whole new generation of dreamers and journalists and film directors and screenwriters and content creators that are coming to take their place. And they're not going to listen to the old narrative. They're not even going to be listening to anybody anymore. They're going to be doing what they want to do, and they're going to be connecting with an audience that's out there consuming content and consuming information, and they want something fresh, new, and something that represents and looks like them and feels like them. And that's all colors. This is just good for the world. It's just good for the greater good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So roll yourself back in time. You look at this environment, and you have an amazing set of content creators out there. What advice do you give them? You talked about a couple of, own something. How should they be looking at the world and breaking through some of these traditional structures? Are they going to, what's the proactive step that one can take?
Number one is know your craft. Master your craft. My biggest thing is I wanted to be competitive. I just want to get a chance. I don't want no handouts. I just want to get a chance to get on the court or on the field and be able to compete. So know your craft. Be competitive. Be fearless. Say it again. Be fearless with your ideas. The crazy ones, those are the ones that's going to make a difference. Nobody wants to keep on hearing and seeing the same stories. And understand the power in our unity. Understand the power in us sticking together and us deciding and us controlling our own narrative. And you have a big responsibility because the new narrative is going to change the world.
So when you think about that and you kind of flip it and say, what do you worry about? I mean, what worries you about the ability for this vision to unfold?
I worry about the reality, I worry about the hard facts that, so say for filmmakers in here, only 3% of them would be people of color that would really get a chance for a major motion picture. If actors, as good as Black Panther is doing, we're only at 7% as far as in lead roles.
Houston, we have a problem.
I'm concerned about the level of disrespect that's constantly handed down to my community and the oppression. And I just want to do something about it. I just want to get busy. I don't want to ask nobody for nothing. I just want us to get down with each other and rise to the top. And as you can see, I mean it, When I first started out and I was working, I didn't really know my purpose. And once you combine what you love to do in creativity with a purpose, and a purpose for the greater good, you go to a whole nother level. And when we were just talking about brands, or even like AT&T or any of these big brands that everybody has named on this stage, I would say to ask yourself, what's your purpose? What side of history are you going to be on? Because things are going to change. So you're going to be on making it a better place? Are you going to stand for something? Are you going to mean something that's empowering? Are you going to mean something that's positivity, or is it just a business? Because people are in real life situations, and they want you to not just sell them products and be your customers. They want you to care about what's going on in their lives.
Those tidy little lines that used to define where things are and what things are have blurred for companies. And, at least from our perspective, one of the things that's important is our customers don't want to just see what you